Hi everyone. Good afternoon. Hi John, Kasiba. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Let's just wait for the others. We still have 3 minutes before we open the session. But we can make use of the time to talk about anything related to class. No questions or any clarifications? Was everything clear the last time? Okay, hearing none, I think everything was clear. So let's just wait for the others. Okay, people are joining now, and it's already, yeah, we still have 1 minute. So, hi guys, welcome to the meeting. How are you? Can you hear me? Okay, so Anissa says, let me look at the chat box. Hasiba says, I will be here, but I can't open my microphone because of my kids' noise. So no worries, no worries. And Anissa says, hello, driving. Keep safe, Anissa. But you can hear me, right? All of you. Okay, awesome. Hi,
Yes,
Grace.
John.
Okay, thank you very much, Grace. Again, if you can open your camera, that would be perfect. It's better, well, at least for me to see you if, well, you're in a location that would be um comfortable for you to open your camera. But if not, then it's perfectly fine. Okay, so I think based on the report of John, you have gone through this different topics already. So the discussion today would be uh, quicker, as you have already seen how things are being applied in um, actual data. So let me go through this. So let's talk about conditional aggregation. So basically, our goal for today is to finish all of the topics under Introduction to Excel, and then probably start some discussion um, about Power Query, Power Pivot, and so on. So hopefully, well, the way I see it, we can finish everything with Excel or everything about Excel maybe Wednesday next week. So we have like two sessions extra. So apologies for that. I just don't want to just run through all of the topics without explaining things deeply. So I always prioritize quality over speed. So yeah. Anyway, we can
I mean,
do
hey,
some
Jeff, how's it going?
adjustments. Jeff, please go
Yeah,
ahead,
just
Jeff.
a quick question. So with that, but we're still gonna spend the same amount of time on the SQL and a Python and a Power BI, right? Like it's not gonna
Yeah,
cut into those
exactly.
times, right? It's just gonna be extra, for Excel. But then we're still gonna spend the
Yeah,
same time we're gonna spend on the other stuff, right?
yeah. So it would be based on the topic. So there would be topics in Excel that we can really discuss faster. So
Okay.
that would be the time in which we will be catching up with these two sessions that we've used for
Okay.
Microsoft Excel. But don't worry, all of the topics intended,
Yeah,
those
yeah, I
that
just
you
want to
can
make sure
see.
that we don't sacrifice the other,
No, no,
like.
no, definitely not. Definitely not. So yeah, we see to it that again, there should be a perfect balance between quality and speed. So
Of course.
thanks
Thank you.
Jeff for
No, thank
highlighting
you.
that.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate you taking that extra time though.
Yep. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, I hope you can still see my screen. So this is about data aggregation, conditional aggregation. So I've already introduced this to you. Like we can do summarization by certain criteria, right? So let's talk about like the reasons for doing so. So oftentimes you'll be asked, okay, get the summary such as average uh, of the sales done by customers who are females. So you can easily do that using conditional aggregation. So of course, there are tons of ways to do that, but for the purpose of this discussion about conditional aggregation, we'll be looking into how to use um, the modified if statements. Okay, so let me show you this example. Let me just zoom it a bit. So here, this is an example of summing the amount of products delivered by the supplier John. So as you can see, we have three variables here: product, supplier, and then quantity. So we have different products here. These are fruits, oranges, apples, and cherries. We also have bananas in here, and then we have the suppliers. So we have John, Mike, and Tim, and then the respective quantities delivered. Now, in order for us to do conditional aggregation, this is the framework. Let me just pull up my Epic Pen so that I can write on my screen. Yep, there we go. Oh, where was it? It doesn't work. Yeah, there we go. So this framework right here, so that would be for the sum because we use the sum right there. So it will just total the whatever values you have in the range. Okay, by the set criteria. So this criteria could be, yeah, we can input their strings. Okay, we can also input other criteria as well. And we have here the sum range in which, okay, from this range, this here goes the supplier, and the criteria that we're looking for would be if the product is delivered by a particular person, such as John, and which values are you summing up? So basically, the quantity um, variable. So here, as you can see, we are applying the idea of sum if from B2 to B8. So from here to here, in which you can find the names of the suppliers. And then we will be summing up the values from C2 to C8. So this um, rows right here. Okay. So whenever it encounters this criteria, it satisfies this criteria. Again, under the hood, Excel is looking for when the condition is true. If the condition is true, then it would take that value. So this would be taken 250, and then this is false, so it would skip this value, and then this value would be skipped, and then it counters again a true criteria. Then it gets this value, adds it up to the last instance when it is true, which is 250. So you have a running total basically under the hood. What's going on under the hood, and then it would do it until it exhausts all the inputs in a given range. As you can see in here, the total products or quantity delivered by John is 700. Do you follow? Do you follow, guys? Was everything clear? So let's create another example using Excel. So I want you to open your Excel and do this with me. So this will be pretty fast. I don't want to um, burn so much time here because this is just um, a pretty straightforward concept. Okay, let's see. So suppose we have here, let's make things simple. We have here gender and we have here age. Okay, I want you to follow me. Okay, I want you to follow me and do this together. Let's do this together. So yeah, suppose you have an age distribution. Let's make this quicker by using this um, function. So we'll be using if, and we'll be utilizing this function rand, which is basically random. Okay, so if the random value is say less than 50, we'll be outputting male. Otherwise, the output would be female. Again, this is just a conditional statement, a conditional if statement that whatever value this rand gives us, if it's less than zero point 0.5, okay, the output would be male. Otherwise, it would be female. Okay, again, this is just an if statement. This rand function would give us random values between 0 and 1. It would, if the value is less than zero point 0.5, then the output would be male because that's the value if it's true. And then otherwise, if the value is false, you have female. So this is a way for us to automatically generate values for the gender variable, gender column. And then for the age, we can do rand between, which is basically the thing that you saw before. Say the age range should be at least 18 and then at most 40. We can do that. Basically, um, we can generate immediately random ranges. So as you can see, it changes every time I insert any values in any cell. Now, to remedy that problem so that the values would stay, is that you can copy it. Okay, but before that, let me go back to this. Maybe the others are trying to catch up. Again, that's just rand between. So it would generate random values between the values that you put in the bottom position and the top position. Okay, this parameter is right here. So once you do that, it would give you these values. And as you can see, every time you put values in there, it would change. Now to avoid that, you can just copy this. Again, it is completely possible that we get different results, okay? Because this is a random process. You can copy, okay, the data, then go to click the right click in your mouse. This would show. Then go to paste special and then look for the values. So you do that, and as you can see, from being a formula, it would now be changed to actual values. You do the same for this one, just highlight, then copy, right click, paste special, then go to values. So in that way, we would be avoiding that problem of the values changing every time we do new inputs. Okay? Do you guys follow? Okay, so this is just a trick that you can use. Again, most of the time you will be working on actual values, so you don't have to do it uh, in actual work. So this is just for the purpose of discussion for having this sort of example data set. Now let's do an analytical question. So what is the average age of males? So this is an analytical question that we can answer using the conditional aggregation. So what statistics do we need here? The average. So we use average if, okay? And as you can see, it gives you the idea about the parameters that it would take. So the range, again, the range of values in which you will be filtering the categories with. So that would be from A2 to A19. Okay, and then what is the criteria? So the criteria is that the input should be male. And what is the average range? So the values in which the average would be computed from. So it would be from B2 to B19. As simple as that, it would give you 29.8875. So as compared to just manually, okay, manually computing the values, like um, doing it one by one, which would be very inefficient if you have very large data set. You can just do it using conditional aggregation, and it would make your life way easier. Okay, all good, guys? As you can see, they're just the same. All good? All clear? So again, we're looking into ways and how we can be efficient, especially when we're working with a much larger data set. So we'll do the same. Again, an analytical question. What is the average age of females? So we'll do the same. Then to do it faster, I'll just copy this, paste it in here, and just change the criteria to female. In that way, we can easily compute for the average age of the female. So it seems that the females in this list are older by almost or over a year. Yeah, almost 2 years as compared to males. Do you follow? Is everything clear? So you can apply other aggregation as well, like the count. So it really depends on the context. Okay, you can do the sum just like what you saw in the deck earlier. So let's go back to it. Um, so we have seen it in action. It's just a way for us to be more efficient in aggregating our values. So you can practice it with the count if, and basically the difference is just the summary that you'll get. So with count, it could be the number of occurrences of the category that you put in your criteria, okay, the number of instances when it is true. So yep, that's basically it. Um, so let's move to pivot tables. So pivot tables, this is one of my favorite in Excel. It is just so useful. Okay, very useful in a sense that if you want to summarize your data, suppose that you have multiple categories, you have tons of characteristics, and you want to sort of identify any inclination, like for example, you're looking into gender and um, what other characteristics? Gender and income versus their educational attainment. So you can visualize that easily, like how the values are, like how salaries are distributed by different levels of educational attainment on gender through pivot tables. That's very powerful. This is a very simple idea, yet very powerful and very useful. Okay? So a pivot table allows you to extract the significance from a large detailed set. Okay? It condenses the information into a much um smaller version, but still at the same time retaining the information. Okay? So examples to summarize, sort, organize, group, count, total, or average data. We can do that. We can also add filters, like we can filter the output by a certain characteristic, like typically years, quarters, months, those different points in time. Okay, we can sort it to minimum, maximum, and vice versa. So we can do so many things with pivot table, and again, this is very useful. So let's have an example. Um, yeah. So this is just an example, but I'll be giving you another one. Fortunately, I don't have the exact data that I use in creating this. I have a different one in the actual example later. So just to give you a visual on what you would be expecting from a pivot table. So from this raw data set, you have an order ID of the products, you have the category like the carrots, broccoli, those are vegetables, and the orange and bananas are fruit. And you have the amount, like um, crazy because you have 4,270, but we're not given the the quantity. So it could be like a bulk order. That's why the amount is really big. And you have the date and the country. So if you want to insert a pivot table, if you look into your Excel, you would see um, this this thing, this insert pivot table. When you go to the insert tab, let's look at it. So when you go to the insert tab, you would see under it in the ribbon the pivot table option. So this is basically what I'm showing right here. Again, go to the insert tab and you would see this. Okay. Now, let's look into this example first. So once you click that pivot table, this wizard, create pivot table wizard would pop up. So this would be giving you an option on which data sort would be used in that pivot table and where do you want to put the pivot table. Could it could be in the existing data or in the existing worksheet. It could be on a new worksheet. Okay. So for example, let me go back to this. We insert the pivot table. This would pop up, and yeah, there's a way for us to click a new worksheet. If we decide to use this, a new sheet would be added in here. If we do existing worksheet, then we need to specify where in that existing worksheet do you want the pivot table to appear. So let's consider, okay, I want this to be on the same sheet because I don't want to switch from different sheets to the other. So as you can see, when we do that, we have this variables gender and age right there that we can choose. Okay. Now let's go back here. So as you can see here, there are multiple variables. So basically all of the variables that you highlighted, okay, or selected in this particular option would be included in your pivot table. Okay. And it's very easy to create the summaries. You can just check the check boxes or you can drag and drop. So either way, it would accomplish the same thing. Okay, so let's do that. Let's drag and drop. We can drag the gender to um, the rows first, and then we can also drag it to this. So basically, this would give us the individual counts for each of the genders. So there are 10 females and there are 10 males. So can you accomplish the same thing in another way? Yes, you can do the count if, right? If we try the count if in here, let's see. So we do the count if. With the count if, we've been needing to specify the range, right? What is the range? Again, this. And what will be counting, say, the female. Okay. So let's see if we do that, we'll basically accomplish the same thing right there. Do you follow? Was everything clear? But of course, it's way faster to do it in pivot tables, right? Because if you have like tons of categories, then it would be cumbersome to do that. It would be painful and um, you'd be wasting so much time doing this category per category. So the good thing with pivot tables is it's very simple. You can drag and drop, and it would give you the thing that you want. And if you click on this, I hope it's still visible at your end. If there's a drop down option, once you click on that, it would give you these options. Okay. If you go to value field settings, boom, you have the different summaries that you can choose from. It could be count. Excel is pretty much smart in a way that based on the type of variable, it automatically identifies the applicable summary functions. Okay, so in this, females and males, those are categorical variables. So the best summary is count. Okay, and let's consider, okay, let's try adding age. So when we click age, now as you can see, I did not drag and drop, but I just click on the box. It automatically identifies where it should be placed best, but not most of the time. Most of the time, you'd be the one to arrange it depending on the way you want it to be presented in your table. So as you can see right now, it's aggregated by sum. Of course, we don't want that. We don't want to sum it up, but instead, um, we want it to be what? What is the best way to summarize age, guys? Well, it depends on the analytics question, right? It could be like, what is the minimum or the youngest uh, i- in this respective genders with this respective genders. But usually, if you want to summarize it, of course, that would be in terms of the average. So there would be average for the female. Excuse me. This is basically what we have done in here with the conditional aggregation, and this is for the males. So under the hood, what pivot tables are doing is just conditional aggregations. So we have transitioned from one by one to multiple, and this is just way more efficient as doing it as compared to doing it one by one.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
How did
Um,
you get the for the fields section? How did mine is not coming up with count or average? I think I was switching back and forth through my Excel and the video. But how
okay,
do
okay.
I make it count? Yeah, count the gender
Yeah.
and average the
If you
age.
go to the yeah, thank you very much for that question. If you go to the lower right, you would see this on the values section. There's a drop down option. When you click that, the values field settings would show. If once you click the value field settings, there will be these options. Does it answer your question? And then you can
Mine,
change.
mine, mine doesn't have a drop down. Um,
Hmm, you
it
can
has values. It has the four. So I made the table, but it doesn't give the option.
yeah, sure.
Um,
Ilham, can you share your screen so that I can have full visuals on what you're uh,
yes.
saying? I think that would be better so that I can see the potential issue.
Okay, give me a minute. I have to authorize it. I am
Yeah.
using a Mac, so it's my Excel is a bit different.
Oh, okay. Hmm. What version of Excel are you using?
I think it's old. It's not the new version. I need to update it.
Yeah. Well, although
I might have to. You can continue. I have to quit and reopen so it can allow me to share.
yeah, sure,
So go
sure.
ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So, for the others, while waiting for Ilham, even with the older versions, I think way back 26 or 2010, you can still find the options for like the aggregation function. So I don't think that the version is the issue.
I have a question. But
Sure.
like along with Ilham, I am having trouble like following along. I'm trying to do a split screen with it left
Mm.
and right, but maybe it's just best if we just like follow you. Being that like we could do this in a lab version with John, maybe. I don't know, but I did get like I changed it to average and I got like a div over 0, so it couldn't
Mm.
compute. And is it because I kind of skipped the copy and paste section or paste special in the
Yeah,
switching back
probably.
and forth? So is that going to be
Yeah, yeah,
causing that?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a potential reason, Grace. So I think the reason for that is well, hmm, even though the values are could be changing, it should well probably it's seeing it as a function instead of a value. That's why it's giving you div 0. Yeah, so you have to change it to values instead of uh
Okay. That makes
referencing
sense with the error
immediately to it. Yeah,
message.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, let's see. John, are you there? I think John is. yeah, discussing. Anyway, so yeah, Ilham, I think that it's best if maybe you do it with John in the lab so that we can cover more stuffs. Apologies for that. I think that's a good
Yeah,
part
that makes
on the grade.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So just jot down that issue so that we won't forget it and raise it during the lab session. We have sufficient time for the labs. Tomorrow you'll still have labs. But I want to go through the details and the things that I think you should have during the lecture session. So let me go back to sharing my screen. Okay. So yep. So any questions for this? Like the idea. Now, yeah, it's highly probable that if you don't convert this into values, right, and you would be referencing to it using the pivot table, that could be an issue, especially when you're computing for um, summaries. So make sure that you again highlight them, copy and paste special, convert it into actual values. Okay.
So would that be like numbers instead of general, where it
Um,
says,
it would still be general, but it would be not in the form of function because if you do it, like if
oh, okay.
you repeat this, let me show it to you guys. So 0.5 and maybe just put x and then y. You would observe that when you click on it, um it would show formula, not really values, right? So in order to avoid that, it's better to after getting the values, convert it into um, actual values by using paste special. Again, we're only doing this because I created an example. In actual work, there would be readily available data for you, so you don't have to really go through this step of creating the inputs. Okay, this is just an extra step for the purpose of discussion.
When you say like in actual work that the data will be available to you, um should we like have some practice with like cleaning up data? Because I know
Yes,
like
we
with
do
my
have
work
that.
when we spit out, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the formatted extra
In fact,
spaces, all that kind of stuff.
yeah. In fact, in analytics, maybe 70% of the work would be on data cleaning. So that's how important data cleaning is. So slowly we'll be doing data cleaning. But we will be doing that in Python with Python. So with Excel, we would be assuming that this database that you have has the data set in correct format. And the data cleaning would be just, okay, are the missing values labeled the same way? Do we have any like inputs resulting to misencoding, those kinds of things? And you can easily see that if you do summaries like this, like when you do um, pivot tables. Like for example, this is labeled as like this. Okay, so it should immediately be. Let's just update this. I wonder why it's not doing it. Let's just repeat this. Okay, insert table. Um, okay, existing worksheet. Maybe here, and when we put the rows, hmm, it's not showing the double M. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Is it actually auto-correcting it? Or is my range still correct? Let's see. Okay, let me try it again. Hmm. Interesting. Doesn't include the PPP.
Maybe it's just coming up as the blank no one.
Um, no, no, no. It should be recognized as actually. Well, with Excel, it doesn't really know the difference between like female and male. It's just seeing it as like two different inputs because of the characters. So it should create another label field here for the PPP. Um, hmm, let me think. No, the blank should be like if you have a blank in here, like a missing value. Yeah, I don't want to waste your time here. But yeah, I wonder what's happening. Why it's not showing the PPP like non-binary. Let's put non-binary there. Uh, should be updated now. Strike existing work, new worksheet. Oops, there's, oh, it doesn't show anything. Yeah, I think this is just an error. It is supposed to show this. Maybe once I close this and redo it again, it would show. There are times like that, but it should show this thing, this non-binary thing right here. And that's one thing with Excel, guys. As well, there are just times that it, it does weird things.
Google says
Yeah,
you right click on the pivot table and hit refresh.
yeah. I think we've done that. Uh, let's see. But there we go. Well, that's odd. Because we created a
That's odd.
completely new one, but it doesn't. Yeah, but it works. So I was already refreshing it by creating a new one for it, but it doesn't work through that, which is kind of weird. So yeah, it shows it this now, and if we do it this way, then we should refresh it like this. Um, yeah, which is not really that efficient. Should automatically, well, at least in Power Pivot. Yeah, anyway, okay, let's proceed. So that's how you do it. You click refresh. Even creating a new one would be, you would still be needing to refresh it to have the new input. So, yep. So let's go back to our discussion, and we should cover more things. So yeah, you can play with this again. Um, Imagine you have more variables, then imagine having more inputs in here, and it could be not only like the age, it could be like educational attainment and so on, and maybe their salaries. You can summarize it pretty quickly with pivot tables instead of using conditional aggregation. You would accomplish the same thing with conditional aggregation, but you'd be needing more time, and that would be more prone to error. But basically, what pivot tables are doing is that it is doing the conditional aggregation for each of the variables that you have in here pretty quickly as compared to doing it one by one. Okay, so that is pivot table. Any questions with the pivot table with the idea? This is very useful, guys. You would be using this so many times as you proceed with your career as a data analyst. If you would ask me, Jeff, is there a better way to do this? In Excel, if you're working with like over 1 million data points, then yes, we have other ways of doing it way better. But if you're just analyzing like hundreds of thousands of data set, then pivot table would still be efficient. Okay, so let me think. if I get anything to highlight in here. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all for pivot table. It's just a matter of being familiar with the steps. Like you have a data set, and then maybe let's consider another example. I'll be pulling up an actual data set right here that we can use, so that you can see it in action. Um, let's see, maybe this one. So yeah, for example, we have this variables. Oops, let's hide the name for now to avoid violating any privacy issue. So so this is a survey data, and as you can see, we have a coding for age, and we have here an uncoded age and marital status. Suppose we want to create a pivot table from the variables that we have in here, and I want to put it in a new worksheet. You don't want to mess up with the existing worksheet. So as you can see, there's this timestamp. So you have tons of variables right here. And say we look into marital status. Okay, let's look into marital status first. The one with the actual. Okay. So this means in English, widowed. This is separated. This is married, and this is single. Okay, so it's on a different language. So maybe we can look into their age as well. Okay, we can look into their age, the actual age, and let's see. Well, I think the ages are, I don't know, it should be in here. I think these ages are already coded so that, yeah, there we go. So we can see here like different levels, like those separated or widowed with this following age, and we can actually count them, like how many on this specific age are separated. So there is one for 12 to 18 years old. There are five, and for the separated we have this. So you can look into different levels of your variables, and well the caveat here, the warning is that you don't want to make your pivot table very complicated, because as the levels increase, then it gets very complex, and the the patterns that you want to highlight and the insights that you want to communicate would be uh, less evident. So it would be an eyesore. So again, make sure that the level of your pivot table is just um, effective. Okay, in what thing you want to communicate to your audience. And we can look at, for example, the age and educational attainment. Like, let's see what education. Okay, and then we can look into um, maybe first look into the number. Okay, so let me just zoom it a bit. So there are 89 respondents that are of college level. There are 20 with like elementary or grade school level of education. There are 52, and so on. And we have here vocational. So this things means that they finished it. So there is a possibility they reached elementary, but were not able to finish it. So this category are those who finished it. Okay. And then we have the vocational. So this is very informative, especially if you're reporting your findings. You can mix things up depending on like different levels of your characteristics. Questions, guys? Do you have any questions? So
No, no questions.
okay. So I hope everything's clear. This is how you use it in actuality. just summarizing things and putting it in a form that you can immediately convey whatever insights you want to communicate to your audience. So instead of looking at it this way, in which it's very easy, it's very difficult to see any patterns, putting it in a pivot table uh, magically highlights whatever tendencies your data has. Okay. So yep, let's go back to
Jeff, I have a question.
yep. Please,
Can you
guys.
go back to the data table, please?
In this example or the other one?
This example
Okay.
with, sorry, the other one, not this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this one, the actual data.
Um, so columns H and I think it was.
Mhm.
H and I is the same reference, but H is just coded.
Yeah.
Do you, would you, how do you write that in a formula? I guess.
Yeah. You can do. Actually, I did formulas here. You can do it. Remember the multiple if statements that we did? You can do it here if you want to code it. Let's insert a new one. So this, y- your question was how I was able to convert this into this, right? It's
Correct, because
coded.
then my
Yeah,
first
yeah.
thought is to like do a separate table, and then
No,
you
no, no,
could,
no. You don't
and
have
then
to do
have
that.
column H to read it. Yeah.
No, you don't have to do that. You can just create a new column and then do multiple if statements here. So for example, I have if this cell is equal to college, right? So that would be equal to 6. And then I do another if statement that if it is this thing right here uh, is equal to uh, this word. So again, the thing that we talked about
Okay.
before, the multiple ifs would be the one to be
The
used
way to do
here.
it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, the way to do it exactly. The reason why the formula is not showing right here is I did the thing. I copied the values and paste special so that the actual values would reflect instead of the formula.
Hmm.
Do you want me to do it so that you can see it, guys? However, there are tons of categories here. It would be pretty long if I do it right now. It would consume so much time. How about the others? Was that clear? Okay. I think it was like the second meeting when we talked about the conditional statements. We have that example in which you can wrap the if statement for multiple, not only two categories. I think the example we had for two categories was just gender, male and female. So suppose you have a third category, how would you do it? So that's basically the thing that you have to apply to get that same coded value. And there's an actual easier way. Let me just show it to you. Well, in most cases, guys, we have to work smartly, right? Intelligently. So if I would be doing that and I don't want to write any formula, what I will do is to go to the find and select, okay? And then hit replace. So I'll be finding college and then replace it with 6. If I do that, it would automatically do that without even writing the complex formula. So these are just tricks that well you can apply. Well again, in actual work, there will be times that your boss would be okay, do it quickly, do it in just 5 minutes, and you don't want to show off and then show this formula. Well, if there are like different, much easier way to do it, so you can do it this way. Okay, this no one stopping you to do that. It's perfectly fine. But better if you get a copy of this, paste it in here, and then convert it through find and replace. That way, it would be easier. They say that you have to work smart instead of working hard. So that's the version of working smart. Okay. So where was I? Yeah, I think we have covered all of the things for pivot tables. Um, yeah, it's a context specific thing depending on what analytics question you want to to do. And then we can add filters. So this is one thing that I also want to highlight. You can add filters in your pivot table so that the outputs would be, again, categorized. Okay, so imagine wrapping up another conditional aggregation with your values. That's what you're doing when you add filters. So unfortunately, I only have two variables here. So let's create another one group. Say, yeah, if this is less than 25, then group one. Just one maybe will work. Otherwise, zero. So we're doing that. Sorry. If B2 is less than 25, sorry. Okay. And we apply it to everything. Just double click. Once you hover to this lower corner, lower right corner, and you double click that, it would apply all the formulas to the other cells. And Excel is intelligent in a way that if it encounters no input on the next cell, it would stop right there. So we can add this again either by creating a new contingency table, or yeah, I think this time we'll be needing to create a new one. I don't think that it would update by just by clicking on the refresh. So let's insert a new one from this range in the existing worksheet, maybe this, the bottom. And then you have a group there. You can do that as a filter. You can use that as a filter, like average age. Just do the thing earlier, and then um, use the group as a filter. So again, this would appear, this thing right here, okay? And then you can just change the group by when it is 1, okay? So this is the grouping. So that's how you filter, okay? So that's just a basic example. Maybe the filter is something very specific, like um, levels of education. You can filter it. We can filter all the the gender and the corresponding average age of those people with educational attainment equal
Sir
to.
Jeff, can you go back
All
to
right.
the PowerPoint
Okay.
slide, please?
Sure. Sure. So
Thank you.
this one, yeah, this one, the filter that they used is friends or country friends, because the data set looks like this. If we go back again to the data set, you have there a variable country. So you can filter it by like depending on how you want it. Okay. Questions, guys? Questions about filtering? Again, the idea there is just you're doing another conditional aggregation, wrapping the that other conditional aggregation, so it would change the output that you have in your.
Jeff, can you walk us through, sorry, in the last slide, one more
Mhm.
time? Um, the
This
question
one?
was which products to the country
Sorry.
France. So
Oh,
how can a beginner and
hmm.
a Excel user think of the question to get the results wanted
Okay.
by putting the appropriate elements as rows versus filters? Like, because the question, which products do we export the most to France, I
Mhm.
think. So it ended up
Not
being
really.
doing a filter
Um.
of country
Mhm.
is more apropos than doing a filter of product and then showcase, or Do you know what I mean? Like, how would a person,
How do you choose, right?
yes, how do you
How do you
choose
formulate in
like
your mind?
correctly the first time given the
Yeah, yeah. So,
question?
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great question. Let's go back here. Um, okay. So suppose that, yeah, you were asked this question, what country has the highest export of, say, bananas? Okay, that's the question. Which country? So, or alternatively, I think the better question would be, in a particular country, okay, which product has the highest export amount? Okay. So depending on the question, is the choice of whether what specific column would go to the rows and would go to the column and would go to the filter. Okay. So in this case, in that question, maybe let's write it down. I tend to forget things quite easily. So let's have an analytics question. Okay. The analytics question is, um, in each countries or in each country, which product has the highest export? Okay. So this is a valid analytics question. In each country, you have which product has the highest export. So you're looking for the product, the actual product. Okay. So in our case, we have, for example, two categories of products: fruits and vegetables, right? Fruits and vegetable. In this case, we'll not be using this option in Excel to do the pivot table, but we will be visualizing it in a way in which Excel is doing it. Oh, no, no, no. Am I doing, where was that coming from? Okay. Okay. So we can visualize it this way. Okay. We have the product list, we have the item list, okay, product list, regardless of regardless of the category. So we have, for example, apples, we have oranges, and we have, say, um, give me a vegetable, carrots. Okay. So you have this product list, and say we have the amount exported. So say this is 1,000, this is 200, this is 3,000. Okay. And you have, wonder if this is a good example. No, no, no. Let me step back a bit. I think the question was, for someone new in Microsoft Excel, how would they visualize it in their mind before they go to Excel and hit pivot table, right? Grace, that's the question, right? I want to make sure that I'm answering the
Something like
question.
that. Like when we're
Okay.
setting up the pivot table, given the
Mm,
question, like what you did there, looking for colon actual product, like
mm,
that's a good point. Like make sure that your answer before you do the work, answer the question of what element is actually being asked for, and know that that's your intended results. because then
yeah.
you might think you might read the country the question in each country, and then you're thinking, okay, I want
The other
countries
way
as part
around.
of the thing, and then you end up adding countries as rows
Yeah,
and
yeah,
not
yeah,
a
yeah.
filter. So it's like you could confuse your own self trying to
Yeah,
answer
yeah,
it,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, maybe okay. Maybe the best way to do this is when I read this kind of question, guys, this is what I have in my brain. Okay? In each country, whenever I see that line in each country, okay, so I always what comes to my mind is this is an aggregation. Okay? This statement, this phrase in each country, automatically I perceive it as an aggregation. So I have a grouping of countries. Okay. What are the things that are grouped by country? The next line is which product. So in my thinking, there are different products in each countries. There are multiple records of products for every country. Like for example, country A, it has 10 records of different products, and there is a corresponding price for each of that. Okay. The next question is highest. Now, highest is something that we have already encountered before. We can we can answer that using the max function, right? So if you have a list, say for example, this is country A, you have a list of amounts, like you have a list of amounts, say between 10 to 100. Basically, the question there is which is the highest here? And another question, another case is for country B, which is the highest in that list. So that's what's going on in my mind once I see this type of question. So in a sense, I'm decomposing the question. I'm decomposing it based on what I have in the data. Okay? So country, then product, then what's the actual value that I'm looking for? In this case, highest export. And I'll be thinking, okay, what function do I use for getting the highest? It is the maximum. So if you go to pivot table, you should look for the value setting, okay, that corresponds to the highest, max. There we go. So as simple as that, boom, I can answer that question. So that's how I think about it. When I'm answering an analytics question, I try to divide it into parts, decompose it. If something is of categorical nature, if something is of like numerical nature, and what function I'm using or I'll be using to answer that question. So that's how I see it. That's how I interpret it. So which goes into the rows and the columns. Actually, you can play with it. Um, you can play with it and put the say for example, should I put it in the columns? It's perfectly fine to switch the position. Okay, it won't actually um, make the results different. It's just a matter of how you want to present it. So is there a standard way to do it? The answer is no. But I've got used to presenting the statistics on the column side. So all of my statistics would be going on the column side, and all of my categories would be going to the row side. Does it make sense? It's just easier to look at when you have the categories on your rows and you have the summaries in your columns. Does that make sense, Grace, and the group?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Um, yep, awesome. So again, so you have already this. You have the pivot table. What if there would be another question? So let's go back to that example that we had. In each country, which product has the highest exports? You have the countries, right, on your rows, and you have the max in your column. So it would look like this: max amount and countries. So country A, country B, C, D, and so on. It would look like this. Sorry. Um, it would look something like that, okay, in your pivot table. Now, what if I have another question? I have a follow-up question, okay? In each country, which product has the highest export? Now, I don't have any filter on what type of product it is. So I can provide a filter type of product. Type of product could be fruit or it could be veggies. Do you follow? Okay, it could be when if the type of product is fruit. So this would change now. This value would change because it would only aggregate the result based on fruit. And I can change it now again to veggies. So that's what's going on. When I encounter an analytics question, I segment it. I think of like the best way to present it and what actual value it is looking for. So that's it. And it's very interesting, right? It's very useful. Like it easily conveys the insights. Okay. Questions, guys, about this, about the idea. Again, whenever you encounter an analytics question, try to decompose it. Okay. What values does it ask? What aggregation does it want to be presented? Okay. Aggregations could be like actual values that would appear in your table, or it could be the filters as well. Okay. So I think we can move on. Again, one thing that I want you to remember, guys, don't make your pivot table complicated. You would easily see it. Okay. You would easily see that you have a very complicated table if you have tons of layers in it. And it's not pretty. Okay. It won't convey what you want to convey if you have so many values in there. Let me give you a classic example. Yeah, this thing right here, you have tons of layers. I think you have here we have 3 layers. Layers of first layer is marital status, then aggregated by educational attainment, and then another layer would be monthly salary. This is not pretty. Again, if it requires you to do multiple pivot tables, then so be it. But don't force it to be in just one table. It doesn't work. Okay. And notice once I reduce the level, it slowly makes sense. Okay. To avoid making very complicated tables. 2 layers is enough. If you go over than that, like 3 layers, depending on the number of categories, then it could be too complex. Okay. Do you follow, guys? You follow? I think your boss would be you, you, your boss would be angry if you would show a very complex table to him. Yep, Anissa, please go ahead.
That was an accident. I meant to click the other button. Sorry.
You just misclicked.
Yeah, I meant to click
Okay.
react. I was trying to give you a
Yep.
thumbs
No
up.
worries. No worries. Yep. So keep those questions coming. Keep those ideas coming, and I'll be happy to answer them. So let's move on to the next thing. Pivot chart. So pivot charts. Once you have this good presentation about tables, oftentimes it's easier and cooler to present it in terms of charts. So how do we do that? It's simply as um, once you have your pivot table, go to insert and then look into well, we can do recommended charts. Let's see. Why does it show me anything? Um, wait. Uh-huh. Okay. Why does it mean? Why does it show any? Um, let's make it in here. Yeah, I think it's messing. It's messed up because of the this PPP right here. Should be before the blank. But anyway, yeah. Just click on your pivot table and then go to insert, and it should pretty much give you the recommended chart. Okay, and there would be a deeper discussion about charts. I may want to do it now. Okay, as you can see, yeah, there's this bar chart from the pivot table that we have. Now I want to ask you guys, how do you choose a chart? How do you choose charts? Anyone? I want everyone to answer. How do you choose your charts?
I think it depends on the information,
Okay,
like a
depends on the
pie
data.
chart. Yeah, it depends on the data. If it's like out of 100 or out of a whole, maybe a pie chart.
Okay,
If trends, line chart or something like
yeah.
that.
Um, let me see.
It
Survey.
also depends on the question that's asked of the data.
Mhm. Okay. The question. Okay, okay. That's good. I've actually trying to write a book about. I think it's not in here, so I'll just create an example. I think it's not saved on this computer, but I'll be sharing that. Um, like I have sourced out horrendous types of charts that I can see from the internet and try to use it as a like a form of bad example when you try to create a chart. But anyway, let's just use this data set. Um, hmm, like this one. Let's try to insert the pie chart right here. Oh, no, no, no. It's not recognized as a category. Let's see. Charts by um what's it showing? Let me see. I'll stop sharing for a while and just try opening my drive. Give me a minute. Um, survey operations. Introduction. I wonder where I saved it. Yeah, no, I'll just create a new one. I, ch- I I tried to look for it, but I don't want to waste your time. I'm sharing my screen again. So let's create a pie chart from data set. So I'll be creating a pretty bad one. Insert pivot table just to highlight some things. Okay. So we have say marital status. Oh no, this might be a good one to. This could be, yeah. Okay. So we have the count in there. Let's insert chart, and I want a pie chart. There we go. Do you see it, guys? So do you think this is still a good pie chart? In one? Do you do you feel that this is still effective?
No, it doesn't give a lot of information, like
Okay, maybe
percentages or
I
anything.
Barely any data.
yeah yeah. In fact, I can change it, make it more interesting. How about now?
A little bit better, but still a bit too
A
much.
little bit better. Okay. Um, Here's the thing. Pie chart is one of the most hated chart or visualization tool by data scientists. It's one of the most hated. The reason for that is oftentimes once you go five categories, it fails. So um, let's go back here and let's look for. I'm thinking about uh, I'm thinking about an uglier one than this. This is actually looks good. Maybe um yeah, let's see. Like this one. Although it doesn't make sense because I'm using the name, but this is a pretty bad example of a pie chart. If you give this to your boss, imagine you're working as a data analyst, then most likely tomorrow you will not be having any job anymore. It's horrendous, right?
Yeah, that's
Like you're
disgusting.
using you're creating charts to make things simple for your audience to easily get the the information. If you would give a thing such as this, um, then might as well just give the table. Okay, so that's the reason. Again, if you go over five categories, most of the time, um, pie chart would just fail, and you might choose other visualization. And another thing, with pie chart, it would be better if you have the actual percentage reflected in each of the slice so that if there are values such as this near or almost similar in terms of the size, they would still see the difference. Okay, in terms of type of variables, what are the variables in which we can create pie charts? Anyone? Let's talk about pie charts first. Pie charts. And what are the types of variables? Anyone? Any input from the group? Types of variables. Can we put numerical values there, such as age, and try to make a pie chart out of it?
I don't think so. No.
If you did it in groupings, like age groups, then you can
Perfect.
do a pie chart.
Perfect. I was looking for that answer. The typical answer was the answer of I'm not sure who was it. I think it's Ilham because it's natural, right? If you look at the variable age, it doesn't make sense to immediately create a pie chart from it, right, Ilham? Because it doesn't fit.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't.
However, with the idea of grace, if you would first create intervals or categories from it, like 18 to this, and from that to there, you would be creating categories. In a sense, you are converting it into categorical values, right? Category 1, category 2, category 3. So for example, okay, numerics, I should say numerics are okay if presented as ranges. Example, okay, age, such as 18 to 24, okay, would be your first category. Okay, 25 to 31 would be your second category. So it's perfectly fine to do this. And the result of this would be proportion, like 48% of your data set is 18 to 24, and the remaining 52% are 25 to 31. So that's how you do pie charts with um, numeric variables. But most often, you will be using it for categorical variables. Sorry, I should put it this in this location. So the other normal data type for creating pie charts would be categorical. Again, for numeric, you have to convert it into ranges and treat it as categories. But typically, you would be using pie charts for categorical variables, such as gender, right? Example would be gender. So for gender, it's straightforward. Males would comprise, say, 50, maybe 30% of your data set, and females would be 70%. Does it make sense, guys? Okay, my question is, how about dates? What do you think? Can we put dates in pie charts? You would you would find less of that, right? Dates presented in pie charts, unless again you categorize it. Like for example, you're trading stocks. And one of you trading stocks or Bitcoin or any of those assets? No one? So for example, you're charting your performance from the first day, from say April 1, 2024, up until the last day of the month. You'll be categorizing the days in terms of green days and red days. Green days would be when you have positive P&L, okay? You have gains in your trading, and the red days would be when you have loss. And then you will be presenting it in pie chart, like in a span of 30 days, how many days are you green in your PNL, and how many are the days when you are red. Okay? But again, the code for pie charts would be categories, proportions. Do you follow, guys? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the second chart that I'll be discussing to you would be bar charts. Hmm. When, how do we use bar charts? Of course, if your x-axis is also categories. So if you would ask me, so when is it better to use pie charts? When is it better to do bar charts? If you want to present your your distribution by means of percentage, then it's best to use pie charts. If you want to present it in terms of frequencies, then it's better to use bar charts.
Sorry,
Do you
Jeff, can
follow?
you repeat that again?
Again, bar charts for frequencies, actual counts, and pie charts if you want to put it in or present it in percentage. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now going back to our data set right here. Where's our
And sorry,
Give or
earlier you
take.
said something about if your second axis is also category. Basically, your x and a y are both categories. That's what you're saying.
No, your y-axis would be the counts, and your
Oh, okay.
x-axis would be the categories. Yeah. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, okay. So in this thing, we can also present this in terms of bar chart, right? In fact, okay, as you can see, it's not now presented in percentage, but through actual counts. Okay, but similar with pie charts, you're using categories for bar charts. Okay. Do you follow, guys? Okay, let me ask you this. Suppose your y-axis is still numeric, numbers, counts, actual values, etc. And then say your y-axis is dates. Would you still use bar chart? Again, let me repeat the question. Your y-axis is still numeric, but your x-axis now is instead of categories, it's dates. January 1, 2024 up until um, April
Can
25, 2024.
switch over to a line graph if needed.
Perfect. Exactly. Instead of bar charts, you'd be instead using line chart. The question is why? What does line chart give you that bar charts can't? What do you think?
Maybe order.
Order? We can still order the bars, the categories in a bar chart.
You get a more visual representation over the change, I guess.
Or that's correct. Or we can put it simply, we can see trends,
Mm-hmm.
right? With line charts. So what do we mean by trend? When can we say that an asset is uptrend? When can we say that it is downtrend? To give you an example, I'll be opening my trading view and show you an asset, maybe S&P 500. Let's say um, where is that thing? Okay, there we go, SPX. So this is S&P 500, which is an index that is composed of several stocks traded in the US. Now, I want to ask you guys, let me remove my drawings for now. When can you say that a value is on the uptrend? I think this will just be peanuts for Jeff because, and I think from Hasiba as well because they are working before in the financial industry. Jeff, can you tell us about when can we say that a value is on the uptrend or downtrend or
Sorry, sorry.
sideways? I call that kangaroo um kangaroo trend. If it's sideways, just up and down in horizontal manner.
I mean, I
Is
thought
this
it's
an
just see
uptrend?
the overall trend that's going up, right? Like the blue line, then the it's the light blue line and the orange line. Is that it?
Okay, okay. I'll remove that because those are indicators. And it actually gives you the trend.
You
So that's
cheater.
actually cheating.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now these are just raw values. Now let's consider this, Jeff. Um, this particular section right here. Is this an okay?
Yeah, that's an
Um,
uptrend, right? That is an uptrend.
yeah. Why is it an uptrend? Why is this
Because
from?
overall it's going up. even though there's times it goes up, but then like in the overall generality, it's going higher and higher. Um,
Okay, that's correct.
like continue. It says essentially it's more like I don't know the word for it. It's not really continuous, but it's like essentially it keeps getting to a higher spot, right? Rather than
Yep.
even though it drops, but then it's like it drops maybe one and then it goes up maybe twice and then it goes down one. So in general it's going up rather than
Okay.
rather than the part that's like after your marker where it's more like it's dropping faster than it's going up. Maybe that's
Okay.
that's the way
Okay.
to do it. It's rising up faster than dropping.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's actually correct. So to put it simply, well, when you're on an uptrend, there would be consecutive higher highs. So this high is much higher than, and this high is much higher than this, and this, and this, and so on. So again, you have consecutive higher highs. With the lows, you have consecutive higher lows. Do you follow? This is a higher low than this. This is a higher low than this, higher low than this, higher low than this, and so on. So that characterizes an uptrend. And it's also true, just like what Jeff said, that in an uptrend, you would see the prices of the asset or the values in general rises faster. Okay, it rises faster. So at some point, right, that uptrend would be reversed, and you will have a downtrend. So this is an example of a downtrend. Now, can anyone to me explain what a downtrend is? Anyone?
The opposite of trend.
Yes, exactly. That's the opposite of
I
an
don't know what else
uptrend.
to say.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's correct. Simply put it this way: if in an uptrend you have a higher high and a higher low, in a downtrend you have a lower high and a lower low. So this high right here is lower than the previous high, and this also is is true to that. This high is lower than the previous high, and the lows, this low is lower than the previous, and so as this low, and so as this. So that's a downtrend. Okay, and this is what we call a sideways or a no trend. Okay, a sideways movement of a value is also called no trend if it's just on a horizontal band. So the traders use this idea in order to um, know when it is time to buy a stock or when it is time to sell. So, for example, you've been in this band in a no trend zone for a couple of days or months. You would observe that it is just ranging. Once it breaks, like for example, it breaks this band, it's a signal for you to buy because it's gaining momentum to the upside. So it gains this momentum, and as you can see, even though this fell, this is just called the retest. It still went to the higher values, and pretty much the same thing for a downtrend. Let's consider the case in which we have a downtrend or a breakdown from that horizontal band. So, for example, this case with Bitcoin, um, oops, sorry, I'm not trying to. Why is it giving me that? Okay. So, for example, this one, um, or maybe look into a lower time frame. Lower time frame. Yeah, this one. So so this one is an example of a ranging trend or a no trend, okay? Because as you can see, it's just ranging from this value, from this upper value, upper box, and then this lower region. Once it breaks, it's a signal for us to short, okay, to sell the stock. Because that breakdown would make it to a new series of downtrend, so as you have seen in this movement. And then all of a sudden, again, we have this no trend, and once it breaks, as you can see, it is now an uptrend. So as simple as that. So line graphs would give you that. If you would imagine that using bar charts, that would be pretty difficult. So when you have your time in the x-axis and the values on your y-axis, then the best chart to use is the line chart. Okay? Do you follow, guys? So maybe the last chart that we have to talk about would be mm,
Could you say that
the
last part one more time? So he said if you have what in the axis and the y-axis?
when you have time or dates in your x-axis, okay, and the values in your y-axis.
All right,
This is the
thanks.
time that, yeah, you would be you should be using line chart to identify trends and so on. Okay, major spikes. So actually, if you use line chart, you can do data storytelling. Let's go back to S&P 500. Can you remember the financial crisis last 2008? Do you remember that? The financial crisis in the US, not only in the US, but actually um, it's all over the globe. So it was this time, guys. This was the time. If you've been checking the markets, you would recognize that this was um, the bubble that burst in 2008 regarding mortgage payments, and then housing in particular, and then this one. What crisis did we have during these times? From this to this, what made the downtrend here? Can you recall? This is still a product of the Asian economic crisis that started way back 1997. So typically, we thought that the U.S. market is robust from the effects of that, but long term, we've seen that it also it also went down. And pretty much the same thing with what happened when the COVID hits. You remember that March March 14, 2020. Um, this was the effect of that announcement that there's a pandemic, there were lockdowns, so there's an immediate reaction from the markets.
And
So it
then
signaled
it
the
kind of
down.
started going up because of all the demand one went up, right?
Um, Not really. Well, one thing is that the U.S. market is really strong, and also remember the economic
But
stimulus that the
there's a
US
lot of
did.
these companies like the food, like basically like like consumer product goods, CPG companies,
Yeah,
Amazon
they
and all that.
benefited from that. Yeah, they
So that
exactly.
probably made it kind of go up, right? A little bit. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, the immediate reaction, especially during times of uncertainty, is people would be switching to safer options, right? Bonds, gold. So, for example, in times of war, in times of pandemic, you would observe that markets typically crash, but you look into the returns of bonds and gold, they would be typically higher. So
Interesting.
people tend to look for safer alternatives during these times because stock is like really risky, right?
Also, I
It
think
has,
it's because like this time around, like for example, for a lot of the economic stuff is kind of like a controlled kind of inflation versus 2008. It's uncontrollable. Like basically, it was just mortgage going out of hand.
yeah,
But then
exactly.
this time around, it's like the government giving out money, but it's like big control on how much they're giving out rather than before. It was just people kind of valuating their home to really high prices.
Too really high. Exactly, exactly. And also, well, we will be paying the price of that economic stimulus. Well, we're actually paying it now because of that economic stimulus, there are more money in circulation. So the tendency, people would have stuff to buy, and that would drive prices higher. So in order to balance that effect, the Fed would be raising interest rates.
Yeah.
So that's actually very
But
in
but but like
economic
if you compare to
perspective.
like the 2008, it's
Mm.
it's not nearly like the slope doesn't
No,
look
no,
nearly as bad
anywhere near like
because
that. Yeah,
it's like controlled.
exactly, exactly. We still have control over it by tweaking what would be the interest rates. If we make it a bit higher, then people would be thinking about obtaining loans, and that way it would slow down consumption, and it would reduce the movement of the prices or the inflation. So inflation can be tamed through different ways, and one of the best ways is to manipulate the interest rates, and that's what the Fed is doing. Okay, so whenever you raise interest rates, then it means more pain, and therefore the immediate reaction of the market is it will go down because remember, the markets are ownership, the shares, these are ownership to the companies, and if the companies would be selling less product or services, then it translates to less income. There will be layoffs and so on. So it is very complex. So let's go back to the to the main thing that we were talking about. It's just only about gaps. Okay. But of course, as analysts, it is always better to know how to read these things. So yep, let's go back to our um, slides. Sorry for now, we will not be taking any break. I I lost track of time again. I just love teaching and discussing. So there will be times that you have to remind me, Jeff, hey, we need break. So, but now it's too late. It's already like 20 minutes before the time. So let's proceed. So this is an example. Do you think this is a good bar chart, guys? Do you think? Do you think that this is a
No,
good one?
it's too
Why?
cluttered.
It's too cluttered. There are too many things that you're showing, right? There are too many
Yeah, too much
products. What can
information.
we do? What can we do? This is an analytics question. How can we make this less complicated? Because it's not just sufficient that you know how to create graphs. You need to know how to make it effective. You see in this
I'd
product, we have
create a filter so that you're comparing across countries for one product at a time, or
yeah,
what
this
would be
one
the
way
reverse?
actually it would be the same if we just add another filter. But what we can do is to aggregate it, right? Grace and the group. You see these products, apple, banana, beans. What if we just aggregate it in terms of category of products? Like, what if we're comparing fruits and vegetables? In that way, it would be less cluttered, but it would still give us the comparison that we want, comparing um, amount of products these companies are, I think, exporting or consuming. Does that make sense? Or was that even clear, guys?
How would it look different
It would look
then?
different because instead of having many graphs, you'll just only have, or many bars, you will just have two bars. One bar for vegetable and one bar for fruits
Okay,
for each
I see.
country, right? It would just look like this. Apologies for my drawing. It would not look really cluttered, such as this, but it would still convey the same idea. Okay? Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So, yep. Let's proceed. So here, what we did is basically this is the idea of grace. We can filter it again by, okay, looking into individual countries. If you want it to be more like magnified, we consider United States only. This is how the products are I think consumed, like the specific products. Okay, all good. Okay, and yep. So what else? Some notes. We have gone through this during the discussion, and yeah, yeah. We can also insert slicers. And how do we do that? We just need to go to um, the insert option. So for example, here we can insert a slicer. Where was it?
What is this slicer?
So slicer is just another filtering option, but um, yeah, in a sense, it's just another filtering. You would be slicing your values according to like specific category. Let me show it to you in action here. Um, yeah, there we go. I was looking for it. Um, no way, different location. Maybe we can slice this in terms of educational attainment. Okay. The good thing with when you add a slicer is you can somehow edit how how the options would look like. So this is the case when you look into the marital status of only college graduates or college level, when elementary, when high school. Okay, it's like having different views when you select each category, and you can do multiple. There's an option here to multiple select. Like we want to see the college and elementary levels, you can do that. So it's like combining them together and disregarding the others. Does it make sense, guys? This is very useful. This would even appear in your Power BI section. It's really useful. You can do slicer per year. You can any category you want. You can do it. Questions, guys?
So it's kind of like a filter in a sense.
It's a filter. Yeah, the good thing with this, like it's the main difference is it will have a separate section. Because if you add filter here, it would just automatically appear at the top, which is not that pretty. And there's no option for you to do this multiple select only through that filter from the pivot table. So most of the time, it would be it would make perfect sense if you do the slicer.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep. But this again, just like what I said earlier, it's just another filter. Okay, does it make sense, guys? Any questions? Anything that you want to add? In fact, this can also be there are several Um, this can be changed. Let me think. No, 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 not this one. The view of this can be changed. It could be a drop down. Um, let me let me look for it. This can be changed into a drop down thing, or yeah, drop down thing. Should be in the settings. Format. Hmm, Let me just look for it. Yeah, I think it's only true for Power BI. We don't have any options of that with Excel, I think. Yeah, I think there's no option here to make it a drop down option. You My memory probably is remembering Power BI. Yeah. So anyway, so let's proceed. So that's the slicer. So it just allows us to create another filter for our pivot table, which is kind of nice, especially when you're reporting your findings. It's very easy to switch from one layer to another layer, from one filter to another filter, if you have it in your slicers. Okay, I find it really useful. And yep, it's already a quiz. John, I think you should give them the practice for for the pivot tables. Okay, or have you given it already to them?
Not yet, sir.
Okay, perfect. So we move on to section 2. We still have 10 minutes, so let me maximize the time. So let's talk about conditional formatting. So conditional formatting in Excel enables you to highlight cells with a certain color depending on the cell's value. So you might be thinking, how is that even useful? So there will be times that you are looking in your data set and you are finding specific values that are higher than a certain value. So it's easier to do that using conditional formatting. Okay, it's easy to look for that values that are greater than or equal or whatever criteria you put. Okay, so let's see. How do we do that? So imagine you have a range of values and you want to say highlight, um, maybe in this case, values that are greater than a certain value. Okay, so you go to Home tab and in the styles group, you would see this conditional formatting. Don't worry, I'll be showing it to you live. So there will be these rules. Could be greater than a certain value, it could be less than a certain value, or even between, and so on. So let's see, you can even specify that, right? Like, I think that there are different options here for the color. So let's do that. Let's see. Okay, let's see it live in action. I'll be closing this for a while now to have a clean worksheet. Don't save. So let's see. So you might be thinking, Jeff, can't we do that in another way using a pivot table using um, a conditional statement? Yes, we can. But it's also good to know that there's this functionality that we can use. Okay. So for example, use your scores, and this is student. So I'll just say if or no, should be group. So this would be if rand is less than 0.5, group 1, and then otherwise group 2. So I'm just creating here a data set, right? And then we have here scores. So say um, rand between 70 and 100. Okay. Now we will be applying conditional this thing. We call this again conditional formatting, and let's see how we can change the colors depending on um, this condition that we set. Where was it located in my? Yeah, there we go. On the home tab, and then highlight rule, and we can specify if the value, for example, is less than. So since these are scores, it's less than the passing. So suppose the passing is 75, it will be applied light red, and if it's say greater than um, 75, then it will be filled green. So meaning that you passed the course. So of course, it would change whenever I put any value. So we see it in action. It will be applied immediately to the values. So this way, it would be easy for you to see um, if the criteria has been satisfied or has been met. Um, okay. Any questions, guys? So I typically use this whenever I create my grade sheets for my students. Um, I want to easily say who failed, who passed, um, using the conditional formatting. Questions, guys? Questions? Do you follow? Were you able to replicate it on your end? Did you try it? Did you encounter any troubles replicating this? Are you still there? There was no response. So I'm not sure if everything was clear. Oh, okay, okay, yeah, perfect. So yeah, it's not that complicated, guys. But it's very useful. It's a simple concept, but it's very useful. Okay, so that's how you do conditional formatting. You can also try others like between two values in terms of just single value. If the value is between this would be the resulting thing. Let's try doing that. It's quite interesting, right? Instead of just one value. So say if the value is between 80 to 90, it would be filled with a yellow color. So let's see when the value changes. Yeah, there we go. You see the yellow ones. Okay. So, yep, that's conditional formatting. In your lab, there's a specific question that would ask you to apply this, like in terms of calories, right? If the calorie exceeds a certain value, it should turn red. I think it's the cereals data set, right, John? If I can remember it correctly. They would be needing to apply the conditional formatting in that practice. And this is just basically the thing that I did. Just made it really clear so that when you forgot a step, you just need to go back to the slides in which John would be giving you a copy of. Okay. Yeah, with formulas, this one is more complex than just applying different colors. So the step one is to select the range. Maybe I should, yeah, we only have 2 minutes. So maybe I should stop in here. Well, the discussion was also pretty dense today, so I think you're already tired. So we'll be continuing on the coming Saturday uh, from here, and then try to complete everything until Power Query. Okay, guys? Are you still there? Can I get a thumbs up? Can I get a thumbs up if you're still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I see Grace, Jeff. Um, yep, so that's it. I hope you learned something new from the discussion today, and hope to see you again next meeting. Um, John, were you able to get the attendance? Yeah, you're on mute.
Not yet, sir. I will just review the video
Yeah,
when
I
I
think,
upload it.
yeah, someone dropped the latter portion, so make sure that you mark.
Mm.
I think I forgot that student. Was it Ilham? Yeah, Ilham. Don't mark her as absent.
Yes, sir.
So she dropped like latter portion of the session. So yep. Again, thank you very much, everyone. Have a great one. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Just wait for a couple of minutes, everyone. I am editing the activities that will reflect later on your canvas. Upload
The
document.
challenge for today, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the right one. Save. Verify it first. Wait, let me verify it first if this is the correct activity that I will post. Because there are two activities that is scheduled to be posted today. Wait. Yeah, I will just post both of them, but I will separate the deadlines so that it will not be overwhelming. The two is on April. Maybe the activity is on April 27th. Five, two, 7. Okay, cannot be. I posted a lab 3. However, I'm not yet editing the lab 2. So these are the things that we need to accomplish until tomorrow. Because the last time, yesterday when we have a meeting, I said that tomorrow session will be allocated only for the completion of your activities. Will edit this and I will publish the lab. These are lab 2 and lab 3. So the lab 3, it contains the pivot tables and charts. April 26. April 26. Okay, so please verify if the activity is reflected on your canvas. Lab 2 and Lab 3. So before the Saturday meeting, I will
Lab
try
one
to check.
was something that we did on Monday, right?
Yes, Monday.
Yeah, I
Today
see
I
lab 2 and
posted.
lab 3.
Yes, okay. So Lab 2
Wait, but it
and
says
Lab 3.
it's locked. Lab 2 is locked.
Oops, Lab 2 is locked. Wait, let me edit it. I am new to navigation and canvas because the last time.
And yeah, and also
Uh,
lab 3 is also locked.
so let me edit it. Maybe it's 24.
Oh yeah, we're 24.
24. Okay, so let me know if you can access the Lab 2.
No, you changed it to 27. Oh, available until through. I see it. Yeah, yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, so thank you. 24. It's 25 on our country. That's why I set it as 25 as default. I also changed the setting for the Lab 3. So you should be able to access this.
Wait, lab 3, why is there two files? Is there two? Oh,
Yes.
the one is data.
The one is data. The one is the one is a document that contains the instructions that we need to perform on the data. Lab 3 is very long, so let me know if you need some more time to do this. But the steps on this are easy to follow since this is very detailed. So Lab 3
And
looks
when you
like
ask
this.
how to merge cell is it's not necessarily hotkey, right? It could just be like when we're pointing somewhere, which button to click, right?
Yes. Like you need to drag between the cells. Like we are selecting an array or a range of cells and there is
Oh, okay,
an
okay.
option at the top. Like
Yeah, select two,
merge cells.
select two cells, two adjacent, two or more adjacent, select two or more adjacent cells, and then hit that button, right? Basically.
Yes. There is an option at the top. Like wait, let me see. This merge and center. Or if you want to merge and across. So it will be counted as a single cell. Or we can just do
What do you
it
mean by
on
common functions? Are those like basically like the calculate, like the sum and stuff like that?
yes, the sum. What part is that?
Number 3, the number 3 question.
On the Lab 2?
Yeah.
Wait, on the Lab 2. Let me go on Lab 2. I think the common functions talks about the common aggregate functions that we are using. The sum, the average, the maximum, the minimum. So those stuffs. Let me see. Lab 2-1. How can you select a cell in a sheet? How do you merge cells? Why are common functions important? So yes, it talks about the functions that we used. What is the small trick you have to remember when using counts? What's the difference between count and countout? Different ways to inserting a
What is
function.
the
So
small trick you have to remember?
on the number 4, small trick on
Yeah,
the count.
I'm trying to see what do you mean by what's trick? Is
So I will leave this to you, the number 4. So for you, what is the thing that you are remembering when you are using the count? And somehow, if you answer the number 5, it is
I mean,
connected to
number
the number
four. I
4.
mean, if anything, it will be related to number five. Basically, count. If I just use count, it will only count all the numbers.
This. So you can count that as a trick to remember the count. Count is only for numeric values.
Yeah, numeric values.
What are the different ways of inserting a function? So number 6, it has many answers. Pick one common function and explain how and why you would use it for the number 7. What's a practical reason you might want to sort your data? So most of these questions are situational. You need to give a specific example, just simple example that may help you to explain the thing that is being asked. Right, and when using multiple sorting levels, does the order of which you add the levels matter? So for this type of questions, if if you are hesitant on your answer, you can just simply perform it on the Excel. You can use the file that we used yesterday for the sorting on multiple levels. Then what is conditional aggregation? Why is it important? And list a few practical uses. Yep. So all of this we have talked about this. The questions for the lab 2. Okay, let me check the lab 3 questions. So it is kind of a mini project, but it is not actually the final activity that you will do on the Excel. There are so many things left. We have the pivot charts and data visualization, working on multiple tables. We still have the what if analysis, entity relationship diagram, so those things. Ups. I think until the what if analysis. So we have already um, presented, or we are already answering the 3 out of 6 activities that we need to do on the Excel. So it is very fast. Let me scan the Excel project. So it is called Excel project, but it is not the last activity that you will perform on Excel.
Yeah.
Okay, so part 1, so basic
What are you using?
formatting.
What do you mean
Okay,
by
so
does the order in which you add the levels matter?
so it is on you can determine the answer to that by using this the sort filter and then custom sort. So maybe I need to use particular data. Let me show you the thing that is being asked. Practice basic Excel functions. Sorting. I will delete this one. And let's say I have this data. I have the record ID, salesperson, the sales, and the dates. So let's say I want to sort them, but in multiple levels. Because I can just sort them in terms of salesperson, in terms of sales, but I can sort them in multiple levels. Like,
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
okay, yeah, that's the question. On sorting on multiple levels, you can always add level here. So on the first, you might want to sort them by date, followed by the salesperson, followed by the sales. And the question is, where is it? Does the order in which you add the levels matter? So I suggest on that, use the activity file that we used yesterday and observe what will happen if you switch the levels. What else? Okay, so you don't need to finish it today. So if you finish it today, you will not have any activity tomorrow. Because tomorrow, this is the actually what I plan to post for tomorrow.
If
Okay,
there's
so
lab
we're gonna be
2
working
and
on this
3,
tomorrow.
On tomorrow, based on the scheduling that I arrange. So since tomorrow we had an in-depth lab session, so the next lab session will be for the graded activities. And then on the Saturday, we will have an in-depth lab session again. So tomorrow, what you need to do is to just to complete the lab 2 and lab 3. So that's the
can you
only
repeat that again for tomorrow?
for tomorrow, you just need to complete the lab 2 and lab 3.
By tomorrow.
Yes, by tomorrow. But I set the deadline until 27. So for instance that you won't be able to complete it tomorrow due to some reasons, some emergencies. So you can still upload your files until the Saturday. So that it won't reflect as late on the canvas.
The one that we're working on tomorrow, can you show which file name that is? So I don't do that.
The lab 2 and the lab 3 on the assignments. Am I sharing my screen or not? Let me share my screen. It is the lab 2 and lab 3.
I thought you said
Navigating.
I thought we're completing that by tomorrow. You just said.
Yes. This activity, so lab 2 contains this. I already downloaded
Yes,
the
but
files.
if we complete it by tomorrow, that means we go to tomorrow's session and it's already done, right? You're saying we're going to complete it in the lab.
Yes, during the lab sessions, it is either used for the hands-on or for the completion of the activities. So yesterday we have a hands-on. Tomorrow is only for the completion of lab 2 and lab 3. But if you cannot complete it by tomorrow, you still have time to complete it since I set the deadline until Saturday. So the plan for tomorrow is we will meet on the meeting and I will post this. And after you finish this, you are free to leave the meeting. But since I already posted it today, so it's your choice if you will join the meeting tomorrow or not. You can do the activity offline or you can also attend the meeting.
Okay.
And I will
I
be
mean,
there.
I'll finish the lab 2 today, and then I'll work on the lab 3 with everybody tomorrow.
Okay, sure. Sounds good. Okay, so I will stay on this meeting so that if you still have any questions, you can still ask.
John, I have a question.
Yes.
Are you in Manila?
No, no. Province near Manila. It's Bulacan, Region 3 of the Philippines. We are maybe 1 hour 30 minutes or 2 hours away from Manila. So in our area.
Ooh, yeah. So I will see you tomorrow, John. I just submitted lab 2, and I will see you
Yes,
tomorrow.
yes, sure. That's very fast. See you tomorrow.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Yes, Hasiba, you can submit tomorrow. You can submit until the Saturday, but preferably, you can use the time of tomorrow's lab session to complete the activity. No. I can you? I'm not hearing anything. Yes, I think so. So I will just edit the namings of the files for the lab tree so that you won't be confused. I will just name it as lab 3. Three instructions. Okay.
John,
Yes.
what is meant by the question, what are the different ways of inserting a function?
So for example, you are adding something or you are getting the total of something. So what are the different ways we can add or we can get the total of the the data that we are calculating? So there are multiple ways we can insert functions. You can directly type the function. So those things. So document.
Was like a
Okay.
certain technique that we use. I said, I don't remember inserting any particular thing.
Yes, yesterday we did not use the insertion of the files, but on the next lab session, we will do it so that you still have the idea on how to do it. The thing that we performed is by using the sum. So for the aggregate function, we can use the sum for to get the total, or you can manually type the name of the cell plus the name of the another cell plus the name of the another cell, like manually typing it in a calculator. Okay. So on the lab 3, I just updated the names of the activity that we have so that you won't be confused. Lab 3. Oops, is it about the pivot? Let me check. Common functions of pivots.
John?
Yes,
Hi.
I can hear you now, Siva.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to fix it. So in lab 2, should we write the answer or should we use all the question in a separate sheet?
You can just type the answer directly on the lab,
Okay.
like in your
Okay.
own words.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I type another question. In Canvas, it shows that I'm late for my assignment, but I resubmitted again and I left a note for you. Please check that.
For the lab 2,
Um, let me check. It shows in grade a challenge 1.
challenge 1. So
Yeah,
it's okay
I
for the first.
resubmitted again.
Okay, so the first for
Okay.
the first parts, there's no bearing on the late submissions
Okay.
since we are on the stage of transition and
Okay.
navigation on the platforms that we are using. So yeah,
Okay.
there's no problem.
Okay.
Hey, John,
Yes.
was the presentation today by Jeff module 2 or module 3?
Wait, let me check it on the canvas. I think I'm not yet posting it
There's the
on the
PowerPoint
canvas.
slides for each one. I don't know if it's that.
We finish until the slicer, right? Okay, let me check.
That sounds right.
What's the hmm. Data analytics. Let me check it first. We are done until the conditional formatting. Until the class 4 slides. If Are you done on the if statements? I think it was discussed since we also have the pivot tables here. Class 3 and class 4 slides. Yes, class 3 and class 4 slides.
We got into class 4 today.
Yes, until class
Okay.
4.
Oh, yes, because he talked about charting today,
Yes,
data visualization.
and until the conditional formatting. Let's see what would be the next lessons. It's all about. Data analytics. Class 5. Power query. So, yep. Next time, maybe on Saturday, we will go into the Power Query. So Power Query is exciting because it is more on data preparation before we actually use our data. Power Query is very useful. It has a similarity on the Power BI. So once we get used to the Power Query, and we go into the Power BI, you will remember some of the functions of Power Query is also the functions of the Power Query and the Power BI. So almost the same interface on Excel and Power BI in terms of their Power Queries.
Okay, thank you, John. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Hey, John, are you there?
Yes, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm working on my last question. So, last but least, a few practical uses. Like, can I just write like sum of average total like that, or
Yes, but I suggest you give a specific scenario wherein you want to add this. Like you can describe a data set that is about the grades of the students or about the sales, and that is where you want to apply that. So you may think of uh, a specific application wherein you can describe the data.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Sure, sure. How about you, Anisa? Do you have any questions?
Oh, I don't have any questions right now.
So maybe since it's already at 7:57 on our class time, maybe we can just continue the activity tomorrow if you would not be able to finish it today. So there's no problem with that.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I will submit it tonight.
Okay, okay, sure.
Okay.
So maybe at this we can end our meeting and let's just see tomorrow each other again.
Yeah. See you.
Okay.
Bye.
So see you everyone. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye.